Nora Bennett had exactly 40 minutes to solve 3 separate crises before the evening's most important charity gala officially began. And she had no time whatsoever to worry about impressing anyone, regardless of their reputation or influence. As the lead event coordinator for one of the city's most prestigious event planning firms, Nora had built her career on precision, efficiency, and an unwavering commitment to flawless execution. Regardless of the pressure surrounding any given event, tonight's gala, hosted at one of the city's grandest hotels, had already presented several unexpected challenges: a catering delivery running dangerously late, a malfunctioning sound system, and a florist who had somehow delivered entirely the wrong color scheme for the elaborate centerpieces. Nora moved briskly through the grand ballroom, phone pressed firmly to her ear as she coordinated urgently with her team, her mind entirely focused on resolving each crisis before guests began arriving. Unbeknownst to Nora, one of tonight's most significant guests had already arrived early, quietly observing the controlled chaos surrounding the event's final preparations. Alexander Voss, a powerful and notoriously private Mafia boss, rarely attended public charity events, though tonight's gala supported a cause personally significant to him, prompting his uncharacteristic early arrival. Alexander stood quietly near the ballroom's entrance, accompanied by 2 of his most trusted associates, observing the frantic yet impressively organized chaos unfolding around him. Most event staff, upon noticing his presence, immediately recognized him and adjusted their behavior accordingly, offering nervous greetings and anxious attentiveness. Nora, however, remained entirely focused on the crisis at hand. Striding briskly past Alexander without so much as a passing glance, her attention completely consumed by the urgent phone call regarding the delayed catering delivery. She brushed past him quickly, her shoulder nearly grazing his arm as she continued moving purposefully toward the kitchen entrance, entirely unaware of exactly whom she had just walked past without acknowledgement. Alexander's associates exchanged uneasy glances, clearly startled by such an unusual display of disregard toward their powerful boss. One of them, Dmitri, quickly stepped forward, visibly prepared to address what he considered a serious breach of respect. "Excuse me!" Dmitri called out sharply, moving to intercept Nora directly. "Do you have any idea who you just—" Alexander raised his hand calmly, immediately silencing Dmitri's approach. The room, sensing the sudden tension, fell curiously quiet, several nearby staff members pausing anxiously to observe the unfolding situation. "Leave her be," Alexander said simply, his tone calm, yet carrying unmistakable authority. "She's clearly focused entirely on ensuring tonight's event succeeds. That kind of dedication deserves respect, not reprimand." The room remained stunned into silence for a long moment, clearly unaccustomed to witnessing such an unexpected response from someone typically known for demanding absolute deference and attention. Dmitri, visibly surprised by Alexander's calm, unexpected command, quickly stepped back, though clear confusion remained evident in his expression. Nora, completely unaware of the brief commotion occurring behind her, continued swiftly toward the kitchen, successfully resolving the catering crisis within minutes through calm, decisive coordination. She had no idea that her simple, focused dedication to her work had just left an entire room of powerful, intimidating men completely speechless. Nor did she realize the unexpected impression she had unknowingly made on one of the city's most feared and respected figures. As the evening progressed and the gala officially began, Nora continued moving efficiently throughout the venue, addressing minor issues quickly and discreetly, ensuring the event proceeded smoothly despite its earlier complications. She remained entirely unaware of Alexander's continued, curious observation from across the room, his usual guarded expression subtly softened by genuine intrigue and admiration. Later that evening, as the event wound down successfully, Nora finally allowed herself a brief moment to relax. surveying the ballroom with quiet satisfaction at witnessing another challenging event executed flawlessly despite its rocky beginning. It was only then, catching her breath near the ballroom's entrance, that she noticed Alexander watching her thoughtfully from a short distance away. Confused by his evident attention, Nora studied him curiously, uncertain exactly why this composed, intimidating stranger seemed so intently focused on her. She had no idea of his true identity, nor any understanding of the surprising, unexpected impression her simple dedication and focus had already made upon him. As their eyes met briefly across the room, Nora offered a polite, professional nod, quickly returning her attention toward finalizing the evening's remaining details, entirely unaware that this brief, unremarkable exchange had just set into motion a chain of events neither of them could have possibly anticipated. Following the successful conclusion of the charity gala, Alexander found himself unexpectedly curious about the composed, dedicated event coordinator who had walked past him without a second glance. Unlike the countless individuals who typically fawned over his presence, hoping to gain his favor or attention, Nora's genuine focus and complete disinterest in impressing him left a lasting, intriguing impression. Days later, Alexander instructed Dmitri to quietly arrange a private meeting with Nora, ostensibly to discuss potentially hiring her firm for an upcoming private business function. Nora, unaware of the events at the gala that had first captured Alexander's attention, arrived at the meeting fully professional, prepared thoroughly to discuss potential event logistics. "Mr. Voss," she greeted politely as she entered his office, extending a professional handshake. "Thank you for considering our firm for your upcoming event." Alexander studied her closely, genuine curiosity evident clearly in his controlled expression. "Miss Bennett," he replied smoothly, shaking her hand firmly. "I've heard excellent things about your work. I'm interested in discussing an upcoming private gathering." Nora nodded professionally, quickly transitioning into discussing potential logistics, themes, and considerations for the proposed event. Alexander listened attentively, genuinely impressed by her sharp attention to detail, confident expertise, and refreshingly direct communication style, entirely devoid of unnecessary flattery or nervous deference. "You're remarkably direct," Alexander observed at one point during their meeting, genuine admiration evident clearly in his tone. "Most people in your position tend toward excessive caution when discussing business matters with me." Nora studied him curiously, slight confusion evident in her expression. "Should I be cautious?" she asked directly, genuine curiosity rather than concern evident in her tone. Alexander allowed a small, genuine smile to form, something rare and unfamiliar even to himself. "Not with me," he replied honestly. "I find directness considerably more valuable than excessive caution." Nora nodded, appreciating his candid response. "I appreciate that," she said sincerely. "I've always found honesty and efficiency far more productive than unnecessary formalities." As their meeting continued, Alexander found himself increasingly intrigued by Nora's confident competence and genuine authenticity, qualities strikingly different from the calculated, often insincere interactions common within his usual guarded world. Their conversation gradually shifted beyond strictly professional matters, touching briefly upon personal interests and shared perspectives on hard work and dedication. "You clearly take great pride in your work," Alexander observed thoughtfully. "What drives that level of dedication?" Nora considered the question seriously before responding honestly. "I've had to work incredibly hard to build my reputation," she admitted candidly. "Early in my career, I was let go unfairly from a position due to office politics rather than any genuine failure on my part. Since then, I've made it a point to let my work speak entirely for itself." Regardless of circumstances or personalities involved, Alexander studied her closely, genuine admiration and respect evident clearly in his gaze. "That's an impressive perspective," he said sincerely. "Clearly, your dedication has paid off considerably." Nora smiled, appreciation and mild surprise on her face at his somewhat sincere words rather than typical polite dismissiveness. "Thank you," she said honestly. "I've worked hard to ensure my reputation reflects genuine competence rather than connections or flattery." As their meeting concluded, Alexander found himself reluctant to end their conversation, genuinely enjoying Nora's refreshing honesty and sharp intelligence. "I'd like to move forward with hiring your firm for the upcoming event," he said finally. "I believe your approach aligns perfectly with what I'm hoping to achieve." Nora nodded professionally, though genuine warmth was evident clearly in her own expression. "I look forward to working with you, Mr. Voss," she said sincerely. As Nora departed the meeting, Alexander remained thoughtfully seated at his desk, reflecting on the unexpected, genuine connection he had just experienced. Dmitri, entering quietly afterwards, studied his boss curiously. "You seem pleased," he observed carefully. Alexander considered Dmitri's observation thoughtfully before responding honestly. "She's remarkably genuine," he admitted quietly. "It's rare to encounter someone so entirely unconcerned with impressing me personally." Dmitri nodded, understanding clearly the significance behind Alexander's unusual admission. "Perhaps that's exactly why you find her so intriguing," he suggested carefully. Alexander considered this possibility seriously, genuine curiosity and anticipation building steadily within him as he looked forward to their continued professional collaboration. Neither he nor Nora yet realized clearly, however, just how significantly this unexpected professional connection would soon evolve into something far more personal and meaningful, testing both their guarded expectations and Alexander's own family's complicated views regarding suitable, appropriate relationships. 5 years earlier, Nora had worked as a junior event coordinator at a prestigious firm downtown, eager and passionate about building a successful career within the competitive world of event management. She had thrown herself entirely into her work, consistently delivering flawless events despite her relatively junior position, earning recognition and praise from clients and colleagues alike. However, despite her evident talent and dedication, Nora had found herself increasingly overshadowed by office politics and favoritism, watching frustratedly as promotions and significant opportunities repeatedly went to colleagues with stronger personal connections rather than genuine merit or demonstrated skill. She had tried patiently to navigate these frustrating dynamics, hoping her consistent hard work would eventually earn the recognition she deserved. The situation had come to a painful head when a senior colleague, threatened by Nora's growing reputation and talent, had deliberately sabotaged one of her major events, subtly altering critical details behind her back to ensure the event's failure, then skillfully shifting blame entirely onto Nora herself. Despite Nora's desperate attempts to explain the situation honestly, management had ultimately chosen to terminate her employment, unwilling to investigate the situation properly or challenge the influential colleague responsible for the sabotage. Devastated and deeply hurt by such blatant unfairness, Nora had struggled significantly in the aftermath, her confidence shaken by the unjust termination despite her genuine talent and dedication. Yet rather than allowing this painful setback to define her career permanently, she had drawn upon her own inner resilience and determination, resolving firmly to rebuild her reputation entirely through demonstrated competence and integrity. She had taken on freelance event coordination work initially, slowly building a reputation through word-of-mouth recommendations and consistently flawless execution, regardless of how small or seemingly insignificant each initial event might have been. Gradually, her reputation grew steadily, eventually leading to her current, prestigious position, where her talent and dedication were finally properly recognized and valued. Throughout this challenging journey, Nora had developed a firm, unwavering commitment to letting her work speak entirely for itself, refusing to rely on flattery, connections, or unnecessary deference toward clients or colleagues, regardless of their status or influence. This hard-earned philosophy explained clearly why she had walked past Alexander without acknowledgement that fateful evening at the gala, her attention entirely focused on ensuring the event's flawless execution rather than seeking favor or recognition from influential guests. Now, reflecting quietly on her difficult journey since that painful, unjust termination years earlier, Nora found herself genuinely appreciative of Alexander's evident respect for her competence and direct, honest communication style, qualities she had worked incredibly hard to develop and maintain throughout her challenging career journey. One afternoon, during a planning meeting for Alexander's upcoming private event, Nora found herself sharing more openly about this difficult chapter of her professional history. "I learned early on that connections and flattery only get you so far," she explained honestly. "Genuine competence and integrity are what truly matter in the long run." Alexander listened intently, admiration evident clearly in his expression. "That experience clearly shaped your remarkable work ethic," he said sincerely. "It's rare to encounter someone so genuinely committed to letting their work speak for itself." Nora smiled, appreciation evident clearly in her tired yet genuine expression. "Thank you for recognizing that," she said sincerely. "It hasn't always been easy, but I've never regretted maintaining that commitment." Alexander studied her closely, genuine respect and admiration deepening steadily within him. "Your resilience and integrity are exactly why I've enjoyed working with you so much," he said honestly. "It's refreshing, working alongside someone genuinely focused on excellence rather than personal gain." As their conversation deepened further, Nora found herself increasingly appreciative of Alexander's genuine respect and understanding, her admiration for him growing steadily beyond simple professional respect. Neither of them yet realized clearly, however, that their growing personal connection would soon face unexpected challenges, as Alexander's own family began quietly noticing his increasing personal interest in someone entirely outside their usual expectations for appropriate romantic connections, as Alexander continued hiring Nora's firm for increasingly important private events. Their professional relationship gradually deepened into genuine friendship, their conversations extending naturally beyond strictly business matters into more personal, meaningful territory. Alexander found himself looking forward to their planning meetings, appreciating not only Nora's professional expertise, but also her genuine warmth and refreshing honesty. Word of Alexander's growing personal interest in Nora eventually reached his mother, Catherine Voss, who had always maintained strong opinions regarding appropriate matches for her son, hoping he would eventually settle into a strategic relationship that would strengthen the family's social and business standing. Concerned by these developments, Catherine arranged a private conversation with Alexander to address the matter directly. "I've heard you've been spending considerable time with an event coordinator," Catherine said carefully during their conversation, her tone measured yet clearly disapproving. "Alexander, you understand the importance of maintaining appropriate connections within our social circle." Alexander studied his mother carefully, sensing clearly the seriousness behind her pointed observation. "Nora is remarkably talented and genuine, mother," he replied evenly. "I've enjoyed getting to know her, beyond simply professional considerations." Catherine's expression remained composed, though clear concern was evident in her tone. "I only wish to ensure you're making thoughtful, strategic decisions," she said firmly. "Relationships within our world carry significant complications and responsibilities." Alexander felt frustration rising within him, though he maintained careful composure in his mother's presence. "I understand the importance of strategic considerations," he said respectfully, "but surely there's room for genuine personal happiness as well." "Mother," Catherine studied her son closely, clearly torn between her own protective instincts and genuine concern for his happiness. "I only wish to protect you from unnecessary complications," she said quietly. "But I trust your judgment, Alexander. Proceed carefully." Alexander nodded respectfully, though tension and uncertainty lingered within him following this serious conversation with his mother. Later that evening, he found himself reflecting deeply on his growing feelings for Nora, weighing carefully the complications his family's expectations might introduce into their developing connection. Despite these concerns, Alexander found himself unable to deny the genuine happiness and warmth Nora brought into his otherwise guarded, complicated life. During their next planning meeting, he found himself sharing more openly about his family's expectations, wanting to be fully transparent with Nora regarding the potential complications ahead. "My family has certain expectations regarding relationships," he admitted honestly, "particularly given my position within our organization." Nora studied him carefully, understanding clearly the complexity of his situation. "Do you think those expectations could become a serious obstacle?" she asked directly, genuine curiosity and slight apprehension evident in her tone. Alexander considered her question seriously before responding honestly. "I don't want to sacrifice genuine connection simply for strategic convenience," he said sincerely. "I've grown to care deeply about you, Nora, beyond simple professional respect." Nora felt her heart flutter slightly at his sincere admission, though caution remained evident in her expression. "I've grown to care about you as well," she admitted honestly, "but I worry about the complications your family's expectations might bring into both our lives." Alexander took her hand gently, sincerity clear in his gaze. "I don't have all the answers yet," he admitted honestly, "but I know I want to continue building something genuine between us, regardless of the challenges we might face." Nora studied him closely, cautious optimism evident clearly in her expression. "I'd like that too," she said softly, though clear uncertainty remained evident regarding the complicated challenges ahead. As their bond deepened further despite the growing tension surrounding Alexander's family expectations, neither Alexander nor Nora realized clearly just how soon external sabotage from a business rival would further complicate their already challenging situation. Testing the strength and sincerity of their newfound connection even further, Marcus Delgado, a long-time rival seeking to undermine Alexander's growing influence and reputation within the city, had watched Alexander's public association with Nora's event planning firm with calculated interest. Recognizing an opportunity to embarrass Alexander significantly, Marcus devised a plan to sabotage an upcoming, highly important gala Nora had been meticulously planning for weeks, unattended by numerous influential business partners and community figures. "If we can make this event collapse publicly," Marcus explained coldly to his associates, "it embarrasses Voss in front of everyone who matters, while simultaneously destroying this coordinator's reputation. Two problems solved with a single, well-placed disruption." His men quickly arranged for several critical sabotage measures, bribing key vendors to cancel at the last moment, tampering with the venue's electrical systems, and planting false information designed to create maximum confusion and chaos during the event itself. On the evening of the gala, disaster began unfolding almost immediately. The venue's lighting system failed unexpectedly, just as guests began arriving, plunging the elegant ballroom into unexpected darkness. Moments later, the catering team arrived to discover their delivery had been mysteriously redirected to an entirely different location across the city. Nora, initially stunned by the sudden cascade of unexpected crises, quickly recognized the coordinated nature of these failures as far more than simple coincidence. "This isn't random," she said urgently to her assistant. "Someone's deliberately sabotaging tonight's event." Alexander, arriving early and immediately sensing the growing chaos, quickly found Nora coordinating desperately with her team. "What's happening?" he asked urgently, concern evident clearly in his tone, multiple systems failing simultaneously. "Catering redirected, vendors cancelling unexpectedly," Nora explained quickly, her voice steady despite the mounting crisis. "This has to be deliberate sabotage." Alexander's expression hardened instantly, understanding clearly the calculated nature of the attack. "Marcus Delgado," he said coldly, recognizing immediately his rival's likely involvement. "He's been searching for an opportunity like this. Rather than panicking, Nora quickly shifted into decisive crisis management mode, her professional training and calm composure guiding her through the escalating chaos. "We need backup generators immediately, and I have an emergency contact list for last-minute catering," she said firmly, already dialing urgently on her phone. Alexander, impressed by her calm, decisive leadership under pressure, quickly mobilized his own resources to assist. "I'll handle the electrical situation," he said firmly, directing his own men to investigate and resolve the tampered systems immediately. Working together, seamlessly under intense pressure, Alexander and Nora coordinated efficiently, addressing each crisis systematically while simultaneously gathering evidence connecting the sabotage directly back to Marcus Delgado's associates. Within a remarkably short time, backup lighting restored the venue's ambiance. Emergency catering arrangements successfully filled the gap left by the redirected delivery, and the event gradually stabilized despite its chaotic beginning. As the gala successfully resumed, guests largely unaware of the crisis narrowly averted behind the scenes. Alexander quietly confronted Marcus, who had arrived later that evening, clearly expecting to witness the event's complete collapse. "Your sabotage failed, Marcus," Alexander said coldly, evidence clearly documented and ready to expose Marcus's involvement publicly if necessary. Nora's skill and quick thinking ensured tonight's success. Despite your calculated interference, Marcus, visibly stunned by the unexpected recovery and Alexander's clear knowledge of his involvement, quickly realized the futility of further denial. "This isn't over, Voss," he muttered, though clear defeat was evident in his expression as he departed swiftly, understanding clearly that his reckless scheme had failed completely. Later that evening, once the successful gala had concluded, Alexander found Nora finally able to relax, exhaustion and relief evident clearly in her expression. "You handled tonight's crisis remarkably," he said sincerely, genuine admiration evident clearly in his tone. Nora smiled, appreciation and exhaustion mixing within her expression. "We handled it together," she said honestly. "I couldn't have managed everything alone." Alexander studied her closely, warmth and admiration deepening steadily within him. "We make a remarkable team," he said softly, taking her hand gently as they stood together, reflecting on their successful collaboration under intense pressure. Both Alexander and Nora understood clearly that their bond had grown significantly stronger through this challenging ordeal, setting the stage for a genuine acknowledgement of the love that had steadily developed between them throughout their unlikely, unexpected journey together. In the days following the successful gala and Marcus Delgado's failed sabotage, word of Nora's remarkable composure and skill under pressure spread quickly throughout the city's business and social circles, significantly enhancing her firm's already strong reputation. Alexander, meanwhile, found his own respect and admiration for Nora deepening considerably, genuinely impressed by her ability to remain calm, decisive, and effective even amid deliberate chaos and sabotage. Catherine Voss, hearing detailed accounts of how Nora had skillfully managed the crisis alongside her son, found her earlier reservations gradually softening. She requested a private meeting with Nora directly, curious to understand more about the woman who had captured her son's genuine admiration and affection. "I understand you handled quite a difficult situation with remarkable composure," Catherine said during their meeting, studying Nora closely. Nora nodded respectfully, meeting Catherine's gaze directly. "I simply did what needed to be done," she replied honestly. "Panicking wouldn't have solved anything." Catherine studied her thoughtfully, clear approval gradually forming in her expression. "That kind of composure and clear thinking is rare," she said sincerely. "I can understand clearly why my son has grown to admire you so deeply." Nora smiled warmly, appreciation and relief evident clearly in her expression. "Thank you, Mrs. Voss," she said sincerely. "Your son's support and understanding have meant a great deal to me as well." Catherine nodded, genuine warmth finally evident clearly in her expression. "Perhaps I've been too focused on strategic considerations," she admitted honestly. "Watching how you've handled recent challenges, I can see clearly that genuine character matters far more than simple social connections." With Catherine's evident approval, Alexander felt genuine relief and happiness, understanding clearly the significance of his mother's acceptance regarding his growing relationship with Nora. Later that evening, sitting together quietly in the estate's peaceful garden, Alexander took Nora's hand gently, sincerity clear in his expression. "Nora," he began softly, "these past weeks have shown me clearly what genuine partnership, courage, and love truly mean. What began as a simple, unexpected moment at a chaotic gala has become something genuinely meaningful and real." Nora smiled warmly, genuine happiness evident clearly in her own expression. "I feel the same way," she admitted softly. "I never imagined finding such genuine connection and support through such an unusual, unexpected circumstance." Alexander took a deep breath, sincerity and hope clear in his gaze. "I'd like the opportunity to build a genuine future with you, Nora," he said honestly. "Free from unnecessary complications, built instead on trust, respect, and the remarkable connection we've discovered together." Nora felt tears of happiness forming gently in her eyes. "I'd like that very much, Alexander," she said softly, genuine warmth evident clearly in her own tone. In the months that followed, Alexander and Nora's relationship blossomed into something genuinely meaningful, openly embraced by both his family and their broader social circle. Nora continued building her successful event planning firm, her reputation now firmly established through demonstrated skill, integrity, and remarkable composure under pressure, rather than through connections or unnecessary flattery. Reflecting quietly one peaceful evening, sitting together at the very same grand ballroom where their unlikely journey had first begun, Nora considered deeply the remarkable, unexpected path that had led her from a simple, focused walk past a stranger toward genuine love and lasting happiness. What had begun as an ordinary, hectic evening managing yet another challenging event had transformed completely into something neither of them had ever anticipated: genuine love, mutual respect, and a meaningful partnership, proving clearly that true connection could be found in the most unexpected, unremarkable moments, when genuine character speaks louder than any deliberate attempt to impress.